English 11 Common Assessment. Directions. Read each passage and question carefully and choose the best answer. Record your answers in Performance Matters. Take your time and focus. This assessment is not only a test grade, but it will also determine remediation groups if necessary. RoboGames. Alan writes a column covering school events for the high school newspaper. He decides to write about a recent school competition. Before beginning his draft, Alan starts this web. Use it to answer questions 1 and 2. RoboGames. Goals. Held in our school gymnasium, teach students how to work as a team, show students that math and science can be fun. Event. Begun by local science teachers, 5 teams representing competing high schools, competition to design a robot. Which item on this web is in the wrong place? A. Held in our school gymnasium. B. Teach students how to work as a team. C. Begun by local science teachers. D. Competition to design a robot. Number 2. Given his purpose for writing, which of the following would best help Alan gather information for his article on the school competition? F. Consulting a library catalog to find books. G. Searching the internet for information. H. Asking faculty members what they know. J. Interviewing students who participated. Here's the first part of Alan's rough draft. Use it to answer questions 3 through 6. Let the games begin, a voice boomed over the loudspeakers in the gym. The cheers and applause that erupted from the crowd normally signaled the start of an athletic competition. The event was the official opening of the 3rd annual district-wide competition known as RoboGames. This year's games were held at Hollow Creek High School last Saturday night. Designing a robot that can actually function in reality and perform tasks is a challenging thing for students to try to do, and these students worked hard to prepare for the fiercely competitive event. However, the competitive spirit was not the most important aspect of the event. The focus was on the value of working with teammates to achieve a common purpose. The gym was decorated in the colors representing the competing high schools. The 5 teams, each consisting of 5 members, proudly represented South, Valley View, Greenwood, Taft, and Hollow Creek. Each team designed a robot to push a small plastic ball through a maze, at the end of which was a cardboard shoebox. Spectators cheered enthusiastically when the task was completed successfully. The audience groaned and shouted encouragement when any of the robots struggled to complete the task. The plastic balls had to be pushed into this box. This event was created by a group of area science teachers, including Hollow Creek's chemistry teacher, Paula Grant. Mrs. Grant also coached Hollow Creek's team. The team finished in 2nd place. The dedicated instructors who created this event wanted to show students how much fun math and science can be. Math and science are both subject areas that require careful study. Number 3. Which transitional sentence could best be added after sentence 2? A. Furthermore, the gym was filled with energy and excitement. B. This time, however, the roar was for a math and science event. C. In fact, it sounded like a championship basketball game in the gym. D. Even so, the noise did not compare to most high school football games. Number 4. Alan notices that sentence 13 is out of sequence. Alan should place this sentence after F. Sentence 7, G. Sentence 8, H. Sentence 10, J. Sentence 14. 5. How can sentences 15 and 16 best be combined without changing their meaning? A. Because Mrs. Grant also coached Hollow Creek's team, the team finished in 2nd place. B. Mrs. Grant also coached Hollow Creek's team to a 2nd place finish. C. Mrs. Grant also coached Hollow Creek's team, so they finished in 2nd place. D. Though Mrs. Grant also coached Hollow Creek's team, the team finished in 2nd place. 6. Which sentence should be deleted because it is off topic? F. Sentence 11, G. Sentence 12, H. Sentence 17, J. Sentence 18. Read the next part of Alan's rough draft and use it to answer questions 7 through 9. This section has groups of underlined words. The questions ask about these groups of underlined words. 7 weeks ago, each school was given an identical box of parts for building a robot. A set of rules governing the robot's design was included in the kit. Each team would assemble its robot and to use only the parts from the box and the specified guidelines. There was no limit to the number of students allowed to help with designing and building the robot. However, only 5 students could then be chosen as the official team members for the competition. Of those 5 team members, only 1 could control the robot as it navigated the maze. Students were also directed to a website where they submitted weekly progress reports. Most students were familiar with the basic principles of geometry and physical science that dictate the process of designing a robot. However, some students had little experience with the physical construction of such a device. Students had to learn how to safely use saws, drills, and other potentially hazardous tools. Local engineers, scientists, carpenters, and mechanics, all of whom volunteered their time, served as mentors to help guide students through the process of designing and building their robots. These community members contributed their time and energy to this effort on weekends and after school to help make the event a success. As Jamie Plantes, a senior at Hollow Creek, said, "This experience really showed me how important it was to keep my team's goal in mind." His comment underscores the intended purpose of this event, to prepare students for the world beyond the classroom. Number 7, in sentence 21, how is "and to use" correctly written? A, using, B, and using, C, to use, or D, as it is. 8, in sentence 24, how is "members only one" correctly written? F, members only one. G, members only one. H, members only one. J, as it is. 9, in sentence 28, how is "hazardous" correctly written? A, hazardous. B, hazardous. C, hazardous. D, as it is. A President's Home. Eileen's U.S. history teacher asks the students to write a report about a famous American historical site. Eileen decides to write about Monticello, a home designed and built by Thomas Jefferson. Before beginning her article, Eileen makes these notes. Use them to answer question 10. 5,000-acre plantation home near Charlottesville, Virginia. Talented scientist and architect. Construction began 1769, completed 1809. Drafted the Declaration of Independence. 43 rooms and 11,000 square feet when completed. Sold after Jefferson's death and fell into disrepair. Bought and restored by Thomas Jefferson Foundation. 10. Which fact on the list is least essential to Eileen's report about Thomas Jefferson's home? F. Construction began 1769, completed 1809. G. Drafted the Declaration of Independence. H. 43 rooms and 11,000 square feet when completed. J. Sold after Jefferson's death and fell into disrepair. Go to the next page and continue working. Here is the first part of Eileen's rough draft. Use it to answer questions 11 through 13. Thomas Jefferson is one of the most famous patriots in our country's history. Most people know him as the 3rd President of the United States and the author of the Declaration of Independence. Furthermore, Jefferson is also famous for founding the University of Virginia and designing one of the most famous structures in the United States. The building is so admired that it has been featured on a United States coin. This famous building is Monticello, Jefferson's home near Charlottesville, Virginia. During his life, Jefferson held many important political positions. He was also a talented scientist and architect. Many people believe Monticello was Jefferson's true passion. He spent 40 years personally designing, building, and renovating the home he called his essay in architecture. Jefferson built Monticello on a mountaintop not far from the frontier farm where he was born. Located on land Jefferson had inherited from his wealthy father, the house became the center of Jefferson's 5,000-acre plantation. The home had 43 rooms and covered more than 11,000 square feet when it was completed. Such a building could not be completed overnight, though. Monticello was a work in progress for most of Jefferson's life. Jefferson began clearing the land for the house in 1768. although construction of the original design, which called for only 14 rooms, began the following year. Jefferson moved into the partially completed house in 1770. He did not have much time, though, to enjoy his new home, as his political interests soon overtook his attention. Due to Jefferson's involvement with the nation's politics, progress on Monticello over the next several years was steady but slow. However, the house was essentially finished by 1784 when Jefferson left for Paris to negotiate a treaty on behalf of the U.S. government. 11. Eileen discovers this run-on sentence. During his life, Jefferson held many important political positions. He was also a talented scientist and architect. Which revision is the best way to correct the error? A. During his life, Jefferson held many important political positions. He was also a talented scientist and architect. B. During his life, Jefferson held many important political positions, but he was also a talented scientist and architect. C. During his life, Jefferson held many important political positions. He was also a talented scientist and architect. During his life, Jefferson held many important political positions, but he was also a talented scientist and architect. Number 12. Which of these could best be added to the beginning of a sentence, to the beginning of sentence 8 to provide better transition? F, in contrast. G, however. H, in fact. J, nonetheless. 13. Eileen wants to add this sentence to paragraph 3 of her essay, but realizes it is a fragment. Using his knowledge of mathematics and European architecture to design his home. What is the best way to revise this fragment? A, he used his knowledge of mathematics and European architecture to design his home. B, to design his home using his knowledge of mathematics and European architecture. C, he, using his knowledge of mathematics and European architecture to design his home. D, his knowledge of mathematics and European architecture used to design his home. Read the next part of Eileen's rough draft and use it to answer questions 14 through 19. This section has groups of underlined words. The questions ask about these groups of underlined words. Jefferson had expected to be gone only 1 year, but he remained the minister to France until 1789. During his years in Paris, Jefferson was influenced by Europe's neoclassical architecture, and upon his return to Virginia, he decided to remodel and expand Monticello. The most extensive change he made was the addition of a separate domed roof to the west portico. The domed roof caused some problems. The plans for the roof needed to be changed, materials had to be ordered, and the entire second story of the house had to be demolished. Construction of the dome was completed in 1800, giving the house the familiar profile famously depicted on United States nickel coins. The image of the west-facing side of the home is often assumed to be Monticello's front entrance. In fact, guests usually entered from the east. Jefferson continued to oversee the remodeling even during his terms as president. The home's remodeling was finally completed in 1809, shortly after he left office. Beyond the fine architecture, Monticello is known for its botanical gardens, which served both as a source of food and as an experimental laboratory for Jefferson. He grew more than 330 varieties of vegetables in the 1,000-foot-long garden terrace and 170 different types of fruit in Monticello's 2 orchards. Jefferson also grew an assortment of medicinal, fragrant, and culinary herbs throughout the gardens. Jefferson was deeply in debt when he died on July 4, 1826. His daughter was forced to sell Monticello and most of its contents. The home had fell into neglect for a long period, and many of Jefferson's possessions were sold. Fortunately, however, the Thomas Jefferson Foundation, which now owns the home, has worked hard to restore Monticello to its former glory. Today, most of the furnishings in Monticello consist of items originally owned by Jefferson. The remaining contents are period pieces or authentic reproductions. The mansion is the only house in the United States recognized as a World Heritage Site. It was also named a national landmark in 1998 by the American Society for Horticultural Science. With more than 500,000 tourists each year, Monticello is one of Virginia's most popular tourist attractions. Considering the historical importance of this landmark, Monticello's popularity is not likely to decline anytime soon. 14. In sentence 27, botanical gardens which served both is correctly written F. Botanical gardens which served both. G, botanical gardens which served both. H, botanical gardens which served both. J, as it is. 15. In sentence 29, how is medicinal, fragrant, and culinary correctly written? A, medicinal, fragrant, and culinary. B, medicinal, fragrant, and culinary. C, medicinal, fragrant, and culinary. D, as it is. 16. In sentence 32, how is had fell correctly written? F, falls. G, has fell. H, fell. J, as it is. 17. In sentence 33, how is fortunately correctly written? A, fortunately. B, fortunately. C, fortunately. D, as it is. 18. In sentence 37, how is American Society for Horticultural Science correctly written? F, American Society for Horticultural Science. G, American Society for Horticultural Science. H, American Society for Horticultural Science. J, as it is. 19. In sentence 38, millions of tourists each year Monticello is correctly written. A, millions of tourists each year Monticello. B, million tourists each year Monticello. C, million tourists each year Monticello. D, as it is. A fundraising feast. Julius writes a letter to Mrs. Patron, the school's band director, suggesting a fundraiser idea. 20. Which of these will best help Julius organize his ideas? F, searching the internet for fundraiser information. G, writing about a time when he attended a fundraiser. H, interviewing his friends about their ideas for fundraisers. J, listing the main points related to his idea for the fundraiser. Go to the next page and continue working. Here's the first part of Julius's rough draft. Use it to answer questions 21 through 25. 417 Oak Lane, Middletown, Virginia, 22601, October 2nd, 2009. Mrs. Cynthia Petron, Band Director, Madison High School, 555 Grand Avenue, Middletown, Virginia, 22601. Dear Miss Petron, last week students were encouraged to offer suggestions for a fundraiser. 2 significant criteria had to be met. The initial investment should not exceed $250 and the event should appeal to a broad audience. I have an idea that satisfies both requirements. Furthermore, this idea for the band to attend the state spring competitions could, I believe, potentially generate enough money. My fundraiser suggestion is a medieval feast. I'm thinking we could hold the feast on a weeknight at school. The school cafeteria is the ideal location. Not only is the cafeteria familiar to everyone, but it's also spacious enough to accommodate a large crowd. Our principal, Mr. Myers, is very supportive of school functions, which is why I am hopeful that he will permit us to use this space. Spaghetti will make a hearty, inexpensive, and authentic feast. After all, spaghetti is a medieval food. According to some historians, the explorer Marco Polo gave pasta, a dish discovered during his journeys to Asia, to his fellow Italians during the Middle Ages. Guests will enjoy a delicious meal and learn an interesting fact about a common food. Additionally, Mrs. Sims, our school's choir teacher, has informed me that she would be willing to make spaghetti and meatballs. Mrs. Sims knows many of the band parents. She could ask some of them to help her prepare the feast. Of course, members of the band will assist with general cleanup after the dinner. 21. Which is the best way to revise sentence 5 for clarity? A, furthermore, I believe for the band, this idea to attend the state spring competitions could potentially generate enough money. B, furthermore, I believe this idea could potentially generate enough money for the band to attend the state spring competitions. C, furthermore, to attend the state spring competitions for the band, this idea could, I believe, potentially generate enough money. D, furthermore, for the band, I believe that this idea to attend the state spring competitions could potentially generate enough money. 22. How can Julius best revise sentence 7 for appropriate tone? F, the feast could easily be held on a weeknight at school. G, you have to let us hold the feast on a weeknight at school. H, it would be so awesome if we could hold the feast on a weeknight at school. J, what do you think about maybe holding the feast on a weeknight at school? 23. Which sentence could Julius best add after sentence 9 to support the ideas in paragraph 2? A, further, supporting the band shows the members that you appreciate them. B, moreover, we need to find new ways for the band to generate funds. C, in fact, the whole school will benefit from this sort of fundraiser. D, in addition, the room is available most evenings. 24. Which word would best replace gave in sentence 13 to make the meaning more precise? F, showed, G, offered, H, brought, J, introduced. 25. Read these sentences from Julius's rough draft. Mrs. Sims knows many of the band parents. She could ask some of them to help her prepare the feast. How can Julius best combine these sentences without changing their meaning? A, Mrs. Sims knows many of the band parents, but she could ask some of them to help her prepare the feast. B, since Mrs. Sims knows many of the band parents, she could ask some of them to help her prepare the feast. C, Mrs. Sims knows many of the band parents, or she could ask some of them to help her prepare the feast. D, though Mrs. Sims knows many of the band parents, she could ask some of them to help her prepare the feast. Go to the next page and continue working. Read the next part of Julius's rough draft and use it to answer questions 26 through 29. This section has groups of underlined words. The questions ask about these groups of underlined words. There are a number of inexpensive ways to make this event a success. To further enrich the atmosphere, our drama teacher, Mr. Youngkowski, could provide costumes from the period. These costumes can be worn by senior band members who will serve the feast. Since we often play music for the drama club's productions, Mr. Youngkowski would be happy to help us. Some of the junior band members could play authentic period music and to enhance the evening's atmosphere. The performance would give these band members a great opportunity, the chance to be the featured entertainment. This unique and entertaining event has the potential to be an even greater success than last year's leaf-raking fundraiser. The spaghetti will be delicious, the costumes adding a measure of authenticity, and the music will be a rare treat for both the audience and the performers. The overall effect will be like walking into the pages of a medieval history book. Guests can take a brief journey back in time while you enjoy first-rate food and entertainment. Furthermore, an authentic Middle Ages feast would help set this fundraiser apart from others and provide an enjoyable and memorable experience for all involved. I am absolutely convinced that this fundraiser could be a tremendous success. Please consider my idea for the fundraiser. I thank you for allowing us this opportunity. Sincerely, Julius Mercer. 26. In sentence 23, how is and to enhance correctly written? F, and enhancing. G, to be enhancing. H, to enhance. J, as it is. 27. In sentence 26, how is adding correctly written? A, add. B, added. C, will add. D, as it is. 28. In sentence 28, how is you correctly written? F, they. G, we. H, those. J, as it is. 29. In sentence 30, how is absolutely correctly written? A, absolutely. B, absolutely. C, absolutely. D, as it is. You do not need to read a passage to answer the following question. Read and answer the question. 30. Read this sentence. The researchers, including a team from Norway, spent 2 years drilling ice cores in Antarctica. In this sentence, how is researchers, including a team from Norway, spent correctly written? F, researchers, including a team from Norway, spent. G, researchers, including a team from Norway, spent. H, researchers, including a team from Norway, spent. J, as it is.